It's actually to make Parliament opposition mukt Parliament. We only raised the demand that let the Home Minister come to Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha and take the House into confidence. They refused to come to the House, whereas they went to the television studios to explain what has happened. This is actually denigrating the parliamentary democracy of this country. An MP was instrumental in issuing passes to members who did this serious breach of security. Why did he issue the passes? What was his relation with his members? Even with remotest relationships or even some sort of a connect, you raid people's premises. Did this Delhi police raid his premise? Did the parliament revoke his pass? Did the Lok Sabha speaker suspend him? Absolutely not. Not even a shock cause notice was served to this MP. This is the Lok Sabha where a few days ago a MP was disqualified, Mahua Moitra, for obscure reasons. If it was not a BJP MP Pratap Singh who had issued this pass, and if such a security breach had happened, I'm sure that MP would have been suspended. Even a UAPA would have been imposed there. During the 2001 attack, it was the Home Minister at that time, L.K. Advani, who explained to the House what has happened. The new Sardar Patel, Mr. Amit Shah, he didn't have I would say, the willingness to come to the House and explain as to what has happened. For them, they would be very happy to pass a legislation even without a discussion. Now they have done a lot of tinkering with the IPC, CRPC, Evidence Act. All these tinkerings are intended for an authoritarian regime.
Your assumption is that these mass suspensions that we've never seen before is to facilitate smooth passages of these bills.
They want to, I would say, create a situation whereby a crisis is triggered, a stalemate is made, so that the opposition members either will have to go out, walk out, or a situation comes in where they will have to be suspended.
In a matter of 3 days, a total of 141 members of parliament, both from Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, have been suspended. All of them belong to opposition parties. All of them are from India Alliance. Now, the Speaker says that all of them indulged in unruly behavior while disrupting the proceedings of the House. Of course, the opposition parties have strongly rebuffed this claim. I'm being joined by one of the MPs who was, in fact, suspended, John Brittas. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you could first tell our viewers what really happened, and before in all three sessions before the suspensions, what happened?
Last few days, the suspension spree was going on. As the country knows, there was a serious breach of security in the parliament, and since it was a serious issue, the opposition wanted the government to come to the house and explain as to what has actually happened, the implications, and what is the status of the probe. And this was a genuine demand that was raised by the opposition. Unfortunately, I would say, when such attacks happened in the past, whichever government was in power, whether it was India government, whether L.K. Advani was the Home Minister or some other government, they all used to come to the House, both the House, and brief the members as to what happened. This time, we only raised the demand that let the Home Minister come to Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha and take the House into confidence. But you know what happened? Strange thing happened. They refused to come to the House, whereas they went to the television studios to explain what has happened. This is actually denigrating the parliamentary democracy of this country. If they don't have faith in parliament, if they don't trust the member of parliaments, what is the purpose of we being there? Nevertheless, we raised this demand many a time. And as Arun Jaitley used to say that disruption also is an effective parliamentary practice. We naturally raised slogans, we shouted, and we demanded, forcefully demanded. And the result was that mass, I would say, what is it actually? I don't know whether it is disqualification, suspension. It's actually to make parliament opposition mukt parliament. They want to make parliament, sterilize the parliament of the opposition MPs. This has actually happened.
Can you tell our viewers what really transpired on the day when there was a security breach? Were you in Parliament? And can you just explain the situation that unfolded after that?
See, we were in Parliament. We were all shocked that, we were told that since the new Parliament has got all the gadgets to, make us secure and safe, and the extent of money that was being spent in building the structure and also to putting the paraphernalia. So there was some sort of a make-believe world that you see the government of India has ushered in a very safe zone uh, on the earth now. Now, this is the place where two visitors entered the gallery with those gadgets, and they simply got into the Lok Sabha, and this so-called smoke weapon was used against the members. And there were a couple of others who were outside also. So, since suppose instead of this, if at all certain weapons were used, or even acid was sprinkled there, even something else was, used there, what would have been the impact of that? So, we wanted the government to come and explain to us as to what has happened. Further, let me just tell you that this is the new building where even the ex MPs are barred from entry. They are not supposed to enter the new building premise. Whereas the ruling party is bringing scores of visitors, and that is to promote the new building. This is a propaganda that is being jacked up there on the basis of the new building there. So, a premise where even the ex MPs are not permitted, whether they are national leaders of national parties, this has happened. So we wanted the government to explain, come on, explain as to what happened. Now they took refuge to a technicality by saying that the building is under the auspice of the Speaker of Lok Sabha. That's a purely technical thing. We all know what is Speaker of Lok Sabha. He has got few watch and ward staff members, whereas the original security, the real security, is being done by paramilitary forces and Delhi police. Everybody knows that. And see, the premise needs to be, secure. So, in any case, during the 2001 attack, it was the Home Minister at that time, L.K. Advani, who explained to the House what has happened. So, here is the new Sardar Patel, Mr. Amit Shah. He didn't have the, I would say, the willingness to come to the House and explain as to what has happened. Whereas he went to a television studio and gave a sprawling interview, and this is actually against the precedent of the healthy conventions of the House. When the Parliament is in session, the ministers will have to make pronouncement only on the floor of the House. This is the healthy convention that we have maintained. But this government is bent upon to even to, I would say, leave away even these sort of conventions that have been held together for decades.
Before I come back to the matter of suspensions, I want to quickly ask you if you're satisfied with, how the probe is being held. Pratap Simha, the MP under whose name the passes were issued, has been called for questioning by the Delhi police, but there has been no action taken against him either by his party or by the speaker. Are you in agreement with this direction of the probe?
See, let me just tell you. Imagine, hypothetically, if it were to be, if it was not a BJP MP Pratap Simha, somebody else, an MP, or rather even me, who had issued this pass, and if such a security breach had happened, I'm sure that that MP would have been suspended. And as somebody commented, even a UAPA would have been imposed there. Here, even a shock cause notice was served to, not even a shock cause notice was served to this MP because he belongs to the ruling party. This is the Lok Sabha where a few days ago a MP was disqualified, Mahua Moitra, for obscure reasons. We don't know what is the actual reason for she being disqualified. Whereas an MP was instrumental in issuing passes to members who did this serious breach of security, that too in the sanctum of the Indian democracy. And this MP is at large. He regularly comes to the parliament, and it's obviously scoffing at the system that we have built up. So Hypothetically, just let us visualize a scenario whereby if the passes were signed by opposition MPs, what would have been the extent of Hong? What would have been the campaign that would have been run under the biggest of the Prime Minister? What they would have said that. So uh, this is where we are at a loss to understand that. We even demanded that this MP should be suspended. See, pending inquiry, reasonably this MP should have been suspended as to understand what has actually happened. Why did he issue the passes? What was his relation with his members? Even with remotest relationships or even some sort of a connect, you raid people's premises. Did this Delhi police raid his premise? Did the parliament revoke his pass? Did the Lok Sabha speaker suspend him? Absolutely no.
Coming to the matter of suspension, now BJP members have said that the speaker has given an explanation. What is the need for Amit Shah to come and give a statement on the floor of the House, or for the Prime Minister to come and speak in both houses of the Parliament? How do you view this statement?
If Amit Shah thought it fit and appropriate to talk to a national television channel about the seriousness of this issue, I mean the breach of security in Parliament, if the Prime Minister of this country thought it fit to and appropriate that this is a serious matter wherein he has to give an interview to a Hindi newspaper, don't you think we are right to demand the explanation or the statement of the Home Minister of this country? What do they are speaking? I don't understand. And even for small things, I would tell you an incident where Owaisi's car was attacked in UP. Owaisi's car was attacked in Uttar Pradesh. The Home Minister of this country came to the Parliament and made a sumoto statement. You understand? So this is the same Home Minister we have. Owaisi's cavalcade was attacked in UP, and he thought it appropriate to come and brief the Parliament about the seriousness of the matter. But he never thinks it appropriate to brief the members of the Parliament about the serious breach of security, which became an international news. Wasn't it a fact that it was a headline in all the newspapers, television channels, across the country, outside the country? What was the news with regard to the Owaisi's so-called car accident or an attack against his car? Was it even I would say, 2 centimeter news in newspapers?
How do you explain the Home Minister's reluctance to issue a statement?
See, these people have been flexing their muscles about the so-called security they have ushered in. They were, the other day only they brought the Jammu and Kashmir bill and they were thumping and trumpeting about the new safety security that has been brought in, where the country is so safe under them. Just after a few hours of their so-called hollow statements, few people enters the Parliament, comes down the gallery, sprays, smoke, and we all know what has happened. So it's a direct hit against their hollow claims. And I must have at least half a dozen questions with regard to the new Parliament. What is the total amount spent for the construction, for the gadgets, for the paraphernalia, for the accessories, for the techno upgradations? None of these questions were answered to. So there is a situation whereby the entire system is opaque. So if at all we had not demanded what has actually happened, do you think Amit Shah would have gone to a television channel to give an interview? No. So the whole purpose is that they don't want to keep the Parliament abreast of the developments. And moreover, I will tell you, see, we have parliamentary democracy. What is the basic tenet of parliamentary? The executive should be accountable to the Parliament. That is how this whole structure has been built up. That is what has been envisaged by the constitution of this country. The entire edifice of our democracy is built on this basic tenet that the executive, that is government, is accountable to Parliament. If there is no accountability of the executive to Parliament, then the whole purpose of democracy goes up in the air. Smoke. It will be like the so-called smoke attack. So they are naturally doing a smoke attack against the constitution too.
I want to also ask you about the role of, the Lok Sabha, the Sunset TV, because for viewers at large, the opposition benches are not even shown. And even as there were protests and the slogans were heard, we could only see either the speaker's chair or the ruling party benches. What do you make out of this?
See, if even the private television channels in this country have become megaphones or other propaganda machines and tools for this government of India, we are not surprised with that. See, there was a time when we were all agitated uh, about the overemphasized stress given by Doordarshan, Prasar Bharati to the ruling party. We all talked about a public broadcaster, Prasar Bharati. Now, does anybody is bothered about that? Just like that, this Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha television, earlier, the opposition used to be, in an agitative mood whenever there were a slant towards the treasury benches. There was a time when we were all called for discussions. So some sort of a semblance of neutrality was there. Now, all these television streams, I would say, just like the Prasar Bharati, the Rajya Sabha, Lok Sabha TV have become just merely propaganda tools of this government. Today, actually, the opposition is not being shown. If at all somebody is raising a point, they will try their level best to, not to show it. If we are speaking, they will maximum pan the camera elsewhere. I mean, even if I am speaking in the house, very little will be given of me. Others will be shown, the chair would be shown, the ministers will be shown, ministers' intervention and interruptions would be shown. I mean, officially, I would be the speaker of the house. I would be someone who would have been called upon to, make my speech. But maybe hardly 10% of my image would be there. This is the hapless situation where this Rajya Sabha, Lok Sabha TV has entered.
I want to again ask you about why you think we have seen such mass suspensions. Because as on today, around 66% of MPs from India Alliance in Lok Sabha have been suspended, and 47% from India Alliance in Rajya Sabha have been suspended. So, what do you think is the logic and the rationale and thinking behind these mass suspensions?
We don't need to contemplate much on that. It's simple as that. They don't believe in democracy. They don't believe in parliamentary democracy. So, if they are very happy to pass the bills without the opposition, which would have been a gross embarrassment for any ruling party earlier, previously. But for this ruling party, they don't find it an embarrassment at all. For them, it's a unilateral affair. See, the Supreme Court of India had to comment about how the lawmaking uh, is happening in our country. Then Chief Justice said that the law should not be made like this, not be like baking the cakes. It should be after due deliberation, due diligence. There should be multiple levels of vetting. There was a time when the parliamentary standing committees used to peruse, look at the bills, the implications of each clause, subclause, everything. Now, hardly any bill is being referred to the parliamentary standing committee. You had a digital data protection bill. Was it referred to the parliamentary standing committee? I am member of the IT standing committee. There is a telecom bill that is coming. Was it referred to it? Was there any discussion? See, when a bill is referred to a standing committee, what we do normally, we invite all the stakeholders to render their evidences. So, they may be formal organization, they may be informal, whatever be that. All those people who are actually concerned in one way or the other way with a particular legislation, we all invite them, and we formulate our views on the basis of the evidences that are entered. This is a process which is it's a robust process wherein lawmaking is done. So we should understand that a piece of legislation is done in this country because it has to be after due deliberation, because it has got far-reaching consequences. It can affect the lives and livelihood of people generations. So now it is a casual affair. Now it is a casual affair. For them, they would be very happy to pass a legislation even without a discussion. This is what is happening. So I would underline the fact that the ruling party, the current ruling party, doesn't believe in any of these norms, in any of these tenets of democracy. They don't want a democratic process to be, in this country. That is why they are showing such a negative approach.
In view of what you just said, and the session being there till Friday, this Friday, so over the next 2 to 3 days, do you expect controversial, contentious bills to be tabled and passed?
Yeah, that 3 criminal bills are to come because now I think they will rush in with that. You know what has happened to that 3 criminal bills? It was just a, I would say, very primary vetting in that standing committee where the opposition members had objected to the serious clauses and provisions in the bill, which are intended for authoritarian rule, which has got drastic impact on the lives of the people. It's all, I would say some of the provisions are very toxic too. But now they will rush in. We wanted a joint parliamentary select committee to look into the provisions of these 3 bills. And moreover, let me just tell you that in the history of this country, I have not seen such overdose of Hindi. See, there is a standard practice protocol that the bills should be on a common, I would say, nomenclature. That is English, which should be easy to understand. Every sections of the people. Now, I don't know how to read this bill. What is a Sambhardiya, Naya, Samhita, something like that. There are 3 bills like that. Even the title itself is at fault. Let us forget about the content. They are not least spoken about. See, there is a healthy convention precedent in this country that bills should be in English. The title should be in English. Not even 50% of the people in this country speak Hindi. The vast chunk of the population do not understand that. There's a practice there. So now they have done a lot of tinkering with the IPC, CRPC, Evidence Act. All these tinkerings are intended for an authoritarian regime in this country. So we have serious reservation with regard to the content, format, style, the wrap of the bill.
And your assumption is that these mass suspensions that we've never seen before is to facilitate smooth passages of these bills.
I feel so because I feel there is an intention to precipitate a crisis. See, even during last to last session, this Manipur, see, they didn't want to have a discussion on Manipur. So what did they say? They blocked the opposition, the demands of the opposition, deliberately. So they want to, I would say, create a situation whereby a crisis is triggered, a stalemate is made, so that the opposition members either will have to go out, walk out, or a situation comes in where they will have to be suspended. See, imagine about me. I have been suspended for almost 3 months, which is not normal, which is actually against the, I would say, against the rule. The rule 256 says that if a member needs to be suspended, it should be for the remaining period of the session. But my suspension has been done for another 3 months. That means next budget session also, which is very crucial, I'm not going to be there if this to be there. So this is how things are being done. I don't understand. I won't point my finger at the chairman. These are all done at the behest of the ruling regime, the government, the treasury benches.
There was a video that emerged where TMC's Kalyan Banerjee was imitating a few members of parliament and also the speaker. Now, the speaker has reacted to this very harshly. He's called it unacceptable, amongst other things. How do you react to that?
I saw Kalyan Banerjee, doing a mimicry show. Actually, I was also there. We have so much of sarcasm and comedy in this country. I think people should take it its own stride. And I would be happy if somebody makes a comedy on me, a troll on me. We are living in a troll society, right? So, let's take it in its own stride, sporty spirit.
That brings me to my last question, Mr. Brittas. You had a meeting, the India Alliance partners had a meeting. Now, what is the way forward? What strategy have you come up with to, one, counter the suspensions? Do you plan to challenge this legally, or will you take this on in both houses of the parliament?
See, the India Alliance meeting has expressed solidarity with those MPs who have been suspended, for the remaining period and also for the former period. And the alliance has decided that this issue would be taken to the midst of the people. And this would be one of the points of agitation and protest. And I feel the legal aspect has to be looked into, because we are also applying our mind as to how to tread ahead. But as of now, India Alliance is focusing on the political facet of this issue.
Right. I thank you for speaking to the News Minute, and we will continue tracking this entire episode very, very closely. Thank you.